What did you find out about comparing the cost of having a dog in New York City and raising a child in America?
Right. There's the national average that the USDA issues every year. It's called the Cost of Raising a Child Survey. And it ranges between $12,600 and I think $14,700, something along those lines.
A year?
A year, to raise a child in a middle-class family.
Between 12 and 14 grand.
Something along those lines. And that's to raise a child, including everything. Home, food,
clothing,
healthcare, clothing, etc.
Healthcare, all right.
So then I looked at how much it costs to actually own a dog in New York City, just the basic costs.
Because you were thinking about this.
I was thinking about
clearly.
this. So you have to, I mean, the major cost is the actual exercise for the dog. Most people don't have the time to walk their dog 4 times a day. So I factored in having someone else walk the dog for you twice a day.
All right, so you got the cost of a dog walker.
Around $25 per walk. So that's $50 a day. That's $250 a week. Right.
In addition, you got to feed the dog. That's
around $1,600 a year if you're using wet dog food. You can kind of cut costs with dry dog food. But if you want it to have like really good nutrition.
And what about grooming and things like that?
Well, different dogs need to be groomed in different ways, but
right.
I figured, I mean, it costs around $75 per washing, grooming session. So I figured 4 times a year on average.
And then you got boarding, because every now and again you might want to leave. You got to put your dog somewhere.
Right. So I figured you had to leave the city without your dog for 1 weekend a month. And obviously, vacations will be longer, but not everyone leaves every month. So I figured 48 hours of boarding. It's $75 per 24-hour session. So that's $150 a month that you've got to spend.
So all told, we're talking at about what, $16,000? I mean, that's bare minimum, $16,000 a year to have a best friend.
Yeah. They'd better be your best friend. Yeah, it's actually a little bit closer to $17,000, and that's not extravagant. That's not, you know, doggy facials. That's not, you know.
It's not throwing a birthday party for your dog.
Right. I mean, ultimately it's kind of what it costs to own this thing, and yeah, so that is actually more than the national average for a child.
Well, having said that, though, I mean, you're comparing the cost of raising a child average on the national side versus the cost of having a dog in New York City, where admittedly the cost of raising a child could be a lot more than the national average.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And
so the dog might be a bargain.
The dog is a bargain if you live in the city, for sure. For sure. It's mostly in comparison with, you know, you are in charge of this sentient thing. You know, most adolescents at least are sentient. And, you know, the responsibility in New York City is actually greater in terms of
and it's not as if the dog actually gets smarter and older to the point where the costs actually go down. It's not like they can do all this on their own.
No, the costs in fact go up.
Taking care of an older dog, for example.
Right. My estimates were for a kind of annual checkup at a vet at around $90 a year. That's
$90 a year?
Yeah. And obviously when the dog gets older, that skyrockets, and then you become attached to it, and you have to spend it because you don't want to spend.
Did doing this research and putting this story together, which is available on Bloomberg.com, did this sort of push the scale one way or the other for you to actually become a dog owner?
Yeah, I mean, I started looking into this because I was interested in owning a dog. I don't have an extra $17,000 a year that I feel like I can allocate to a dog at the moment, so I might hold back. You know, of course, there are ways to kind of cut on these things. I assume that you are operating effectively in a vacuum. A lot of the time you can have friends walk the dog, you can have friends house it to take care of the dog. There are ways to hedge your cost.